But if I was asking you, Brian Baldinger, who would you hire as your head coach, Kyle or Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, I would take just because wherever he goes, the toughness that he instills in his team, that was as soft as tissue paper. And that doesn't mean you're going to win or lose, because everybody does it in a different way. But there is something about the way that he connects with players, and his motivation never seems to get old. It never stops.
Baldy, I'm watching this Niner game, and look, the preseason, do I think week 5, it really truly matters whether Pearsall and Purdy look good back in week 2 of the preseason? Probably not. But I'm just a big believer in, when I finish a gym session, I want to hit a bucket. When I'm at the range, I want to flush an iron. I want to hit a line drive in baseball when I end my session. So to see Purdy go out there and look good and have a little connection, and the play for me with him and Ricky Pearsall was where Pearsall sat down when Purdy was scrambling, and he stopped, turned, boom, and he threw a nice little throw to him. I was encouraged with what I saw. Does it mean anything, though, Baldy?
Well, it does. It does mean something. There is a connection there. They had a couple of completions there, when Brock was out there. They need Ricky Pearsall to be a number 1, or as close to a 1 as you can get. I mean, he came out, there was 3 guys that basically came out of similar type. Ladd McConkey, right, when he came out. Pearsall coming out of Florida. Roman Wilson coming out. These guys were route runners. They were tough. They could play outside. They could play inside. They showed versatility. And the only guy that we really saw last year play, was McConkey, and he was awesome. They need Pearsall to get close to being like a Ladd McConkey. Their problem right now is they don't really have anybody opposite McConkey with the Chargers. They're trying to find somebody that can balance it up a little bit to take some coverage away. But they need Pearsall to be good. I mean, they trade away Debo. We know we know the injury history of some guys right there. So they drafted him in the first round for a reason, to be eventually, because they knew the quarterback contract was coming, and they knew they weren't going to be able to pay everybody, and there's going to be a release of a lot of good players and guys that won a lot of games there. So when you draft somebody in the first round like that, he's got to hit. And so that's where they're at right now.
Baldy, do you think Pearsall could handle a number 1 receiver type workload this season? We saw Juwan Jennings do it, and we'll wait and see what's going on with Juwan, the calf, the hold in, hold out, whatever the hell you want to call it. But do you think that Ricky could handle that this season, given some of the injury history in his past?
Well, I mean, the injury history is tied to, an unfortunate situation, last year. I mean, nobody can predict what happened to him. Yeah. But, so, I mean, that was just an injured year. I mean, it's just bizarre. But, I've only talked to him once or twice. I don't pretend to know him like I know some of the other guys on that team. But I would think that John Lynch is pretty thorough in his evaluation of these guys and what, the whole interviewing process, and you going back and being pretty comfortable with taking them at the bottom of the first round. And so I would think that he has that mindset that I'm going to dominate, that I want to, you give me your number 1 corner, I'm going to go beat him. I would think that's the mindset you want every receiver. Certainly Debo had it. Certainly other guys have had it. But I would think he's built for it, because that's how they drafted him, to be that guy.
Baldy, I don't know how in-depth you were watching the last couple of games, but this kid, Marquise Siegel, looks like a player at free safety. We've been looking for a free safety maybe since Deshaun Golston or Eric Reed. I mean, we're talking over a decade ago. I think he looks outstanding. Nick Martin, I thought, flashed big time. Tatum Bethune. Who are the guys, the young guys on defense that maybe have stood out to you? I thought Alfred Collins didn't look good at all. I have big question marks on him. Just the young guys on defense for the Niners. Anybody popping for you?
Well, a couple of those guys you just mentioned. We know that Mustafa is going to be good. We know that he's set to play. You can play Jair Brown, but if you can upgrade the position, you're going to end up playing 3 safeties as it is. So we'll see what Tate can do. They're going to get tested. They play Seattle week 1, right? And anybody that just watched Seattle play, they just ran for 268 yards. Graves Abel, that guy looks like the real deal, all right? I mean, he looks like he's ready to just move big bodies, and they look comfortable with him. They look good. It's preseason, I get it. But they just pounded. And that's what they want to do. So they've got to, like you mentioned, Alfred Collins. Like, we haven't seen Mikel, but we got to, that defense line, if they aren't stout at the point, I don't care who's playing free safety. Because if the ball carrier is getting the free safety, he's making big tackles, that's a problem. So I'm worried about the front right now. And I'm looking for guys that can play in the front. And so right now, that's the reason why they drafted 3 guys up there and they rebuilt their defensive line. They've got to be much better than they ever were at any point last year.
Another concerning thing, Baldy, when it comes to depth on this team, and really it's everywhere, quite frankly, but the running back depth right now behind Christian McCaffrey is very concerning. And all of that is wrapped into Christian McCaffrey himself and being a big question mark with his health coming off the season that he had. We don't know what to expect from the wear and tear this season from him. I say all that to say there's a guy that didn't play yesterday on Monday Night Football that is being talked about getting traded potentially. One, Brian Robinson Jr., out of Washington. Yeah. Should the Niners be interested potentially in trading for a guy like that just to have some depth behind him? Or do you feel like that would be kind of overkill?
No, I don't think it's overkill. I don't think it's, I mean, they've got to, look, the injury problem at that position. I just watched Jordan Mason. He looks good. And all the guys that came through San Francisco, like, why would you let that guy go? You know, he might end up like Aaron Jones is a great player. He's just a great player. He came out of the same draft as Christian McCaffrey. But he's still rolling. But they're going to run 2 backs because you can't run Showtime, into the ground. So Jordan Mason looks good to me. Like, I still can't believe he's gone. But, some of these guys that they've drafted here in San Francisco, like, they're in other teams, they're going to be good. But I'd be looking for depth at that position. I don't, honestly, nobody knows what McCaffrey's going to be until he gets out there. And we start getting the game and he gets his 18 or 20 carries, and does he do what he has done, since they traded for him from Carolina? Can he get back to that? We don't know. And so I would have a good insurance policy right there. I know guys are banged up right now, and it's been a real problem for them at that position. So I don't think that they can stock that position deep enough right now.
We played Pete Carroll last week with the Raiders, and we were doing some exercises on just comparing and contrasting. I'm just a Jim Harbaugh lover. He's kind of like one of the guys who got away from me, from my fandom, if you will. Like, I felt like I have unfinished business with Jim, because of the way it went down at the end. And he's a great coach, and Kyle's a great coach. But if I was asking you, Brian Baldinger, we're starting from scratch, all right? Who would you hire as your head coach, Kyle or Jim Harbaugh?
Well, I would take Harbaugh. Like, just because, like, wherever he goes, the toughness that he instills in his team, for him to take a Brandon Staley team that was as soft as tissue paper, right, and turn it around in 1 year and get Deion Henley on the field, like why he wasn't on the field his rookie year. Like, that guy, nobody's Fred Warner in his business, basically, but he was their Fred Warner on that team last year. Just instilling confidence in his quarterback, belief in his team. Like, the way that he talks is to see Derwin James. I feel like Derwin James is his son, the way he talks about his coach. Like, and that doesn't mean you're going to win or lose, and that doesn't mean that Kyle Shanahan, because everybody does it in a different way. Pete Carroll does it differently than either one of those guys. But there is something about the way that he connects with players, and his motivation never seems to get old. You never just hear it drown out over a period of time. It never stops. So, I don't know. Like, Harbaugh would be hard to pass up if you had the opportunity to get him as a coach.
I love that answer. I mean, people don't have to agree with it, but I think you laid it out pretty well. There seems to be a trend just in general. Like, we went to, got to have the offensive play caller be my head coach. And now I see a lot of these like CEO types where they don't necessarily call plays on either side of the ball. Obviously, Tomlin's been doing it like that for a long time, and so has John Harbaugh. Jim's that way. I think Sirianni's kind of that way, even though he slants more offensive. He doesn't call plays. You see Dan Campbell, he doesn't call plays one way or the other. are you seeing the league kind of trend more toward just hiring the right guy as opposed to maniacally obsessing for that play caller head coach duality, position?
Well, I mean, Andy Reid still does it,
True.
and so and he does it. Ben Johnson is calling all the plays, but you look at Washington. Cliff Kingsbury is calling their offense. He's got, so you're still seeing a split around the league about how to do it. It's an interesting combination to see Chip with Pete, honestly. But because we all know that you got your fill of Chip out there in San Francisco. He's a different breed, but he is innovative when it comes to offensive football, and he does have an undying belief in how to do it. And so I saw him win 10 games in a row, 2 years in a row in Philadelphia with some scraps. Well, Shady McCoy led the league in rushing his first year in Philadelphia. So, to see what they might do in with the Raiders is going to be really an interesting combination.
You can't say anything positive about Chip Kelly here on this show.
Yes,
Sorry,
I know.
Baldy.
He's
enemy number one here.
Look,
I'm in Philly. Guys, I'm in Philly. You can't do it either. But it's interesting. It's interesting because one thing about Chip, he leaves his mark. Like, he brought Jeff Stoutland to Philadelphia. Like, he's still the offensive line coach, and he's still the best in the NFL. So, you can say whatever you want about Chip, but he does leave his mark wherever he goes.